Hello and welcome to Connected episode 331. It's made possible this week by our sponsors, Squarespace, Smile, and Mack Weldon. My name is Stephen Hackett and I'm joined by Mr. Myke Hurley.
Hello, how are you, Stephen?
I'm good, Myke. Happy late birthday.
Thank you very much.
We're almost twins.
Mm-hmm. You're 2 years older than me.
Yes.
And what is it, 3 or 4 days apart?
Mm-hmm. It was a long labor. Also joined by Mr. Federico Vitici.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
That was weird.
It's not your birthday.
I don't know. I don't know where he's going with this.
Why did you do it? That was such a strange
You got
way to say hello.
Tell me? I don't know.
Hey!
Hey, buddy. It's like,
Hey, take a seat. We need to talk to you about something.
okay, what have I done?
Well,
What's wrong?
it's come to our attention. No,
Okay.
nothing.
Okay, cool.
I'm in a weird mood. Let's do follow-up.
Let's just do some follow-up.
Follow-up. We keep getting lots of feedback about Myke's AirPods Max battery gate. Is there any indication that this could be fixed in 14.5? Is there anything? I haven't really looked at the notes that closely. I'm running it on my phone for reasons
I
we'll talk
looked
about
at
later.
the release notes for it, and there's nothing about AirPods Max in the release notes. I don't think this problem is an iOS problem, though. I think it's an AirPods problem. So I'm expecting that if there's going to be a fix to this battery issue, it's going to have to be a AirPods firmware update rather than an iOS update. Because, again, like today, I wasn't necessarily noticing a battery issue, but in my audio sources on my Mac, my AirPods Max were showing up even though they were in the case on my desk. And I feel like that shouldn't be possible. Right? I shouldn't be able to connect to them when I'm not wearing them.
Yeah.
Because I could. I tried it. I could connect and start playing audio on them, and they were on my desk in the case. And I kind of feel like it's not the intended use case.
I had that come up with my AirPods 2. I connected them as I was like opening the case. I connected them manually, and all of a sudden, tiny little podcast voices were coming out of my AirPods while they were still in the charging case. It's like,
that's fun.
What are you doing? Yeah, you and Gray sounded very tiny.
I like these podcasts, pocket podcasts, I guess.
We've talked about a exercise or tracking device that isn't a full-blown Apple Watch, maybe from Apple. Listener Mikey wrote in to say, have you tried is it Withings? Wothings?
I don't remember. There is a way to say it, and it's never the one I think it is.
Wow, there's just so many options we can try. Why things, we things.
With things.
With
With
things.
things.
With things.
Mm-hmm.
Withings.
With things.
This is the company that
Withings with a Z.
its own,
Yes.
then got bought by Nokia,
Uh-huh.
and then Nokia did nothing with it, really, except rebrand everything, and I think create a heart, like a blood pressure sensor. And then the original owner of Withings bought it back for less than he sold it for.
Wait, that's not how you do business.
It's kind of funny, really, because isn't that also kind of what happened to Nokia with Microsoft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Nokia had it happen to them and then for them, I guess. But yeah, so Withings sell lots of products, and one of the things that they do is an analog watch with some sensor stuff built into it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they look nice, but for me, it's still not. So I have two issues with it. One, they look nice, but it's not necessarily what I want visually out of a watch. And two, I'm still back in the same issue, because my thing is not that I want to wear one watch instead of an Apple Watch. I want to wear a small selection of watches. Like, I might want to wear one this day, one that day, that kind of thing. Steven just bought me an incredible G-Shock for my birthday, which I have on now. But next week, I might want to wear a different one. So having a watch with this stuff built in is always the problem. It's I want it on everything or nothing. And so these are cool. And if you are a type of person that just wants one watch but doesn't want an Apple Watch but still wants some health tracking stuff, these Withings watches might be good for you. They even have an ECG one now, which I didn't know that they did, which is kind of incredible, really, that they have that. in a watch like this. And of course, because it doesn't have a screen and all that kind of stuff, the battery life is bananas like on these things compared to other products. So
Yeah.
maybe it's for you, but you can go take a look.
Yeah, I had one for quite a while, and we're actually going to talk more about this in a little while. So we're going to come back to this.
Yeah, I'm going to circle back, as they say.
Zach wrote in with another hardware feature that was short-lived on an Apple product, and I can't believe I didn't think about this. The original iMac G3 had an IR port, so you could beam information to and from your iMac.
Can't believe you didn't mention this, Steven.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed at you.
I know. I'm sorry.
Disgraceful.
The IR port on the G3, I mean,
Everyone
duh.
knows about that.
Even I know it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you know because you saw this tweet?
no. I was testing you, seeing how long it would take you to remember this, and you failed.
I can confirm. Federico texted me and said, I wonder if he remembers the IR port.
It's like, bro, I can't remember. I can't even imagine how I forgot about the IR port. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Such a disappointment. Yeah, we talked a couple of weeks ago about this on Telegram because we sent each other disappearing messages.
Yeah, it was on Telegram. So we
we talked on Signal because
Signal, that was the one. Yeah, Signal's what everyone uses now.
it wasn't encrypted. Yes.
Can't see me, Facebook.
Man, that WhatsApp thing, like, that is like a true encapsulation of Facebook destroying itself. Because there really was nothing wrong with their update. It was just like, if for business customers, they can access data in a different portal, basically, like at a very simple level. But everyone's like, WhatsApp's reading my messages. And then like everyone leaves. It's like, oh no. When WhatsApp's encryption is better than iMessage's encryption because they don't back it up. Facebook doesn't back it up. It's true end to end. Unlike Apple's encryption, which can be not end-to-end if you do have your messages and iCloud backups. It's just kind of funny, really. And then everyone's like, Facebook's worried in our messages. And then they all just abandon the platform and use Signal instead. It's funny how these things happen to you. That Kensington iPad Pro docking station that we spoke about during CES week, the one that's got like a bunch of USB ports and a Qi charger in the foot and all that kind of stuff, it's available now. It starts at $379 or $399 for the bigger one. I always find that kind of stuff funny. Like, why is it only $20 difference between the two sizes? But nevertheless, this is a very cool product. But that's a lot of money. Like a lot of money for stuff where, like, I would never buy this right now. Because there is nothing to say that it will still work with the next iPad Pro, right? That's always the issue with these types of products.
Yeah.
Like, if something's just around the corner, it would be kind of foolish to drop this money until you see the next iPad Pro, because what if it's like, because they said it might be thicker, right? The big one. But what if it then means it won't fit with that little integrated USB port thing that they have? You know, like you never forget was it the Elevation dock, the Kickstarter campaign?
Yep.
It was for like one of the iPhones, and by the time they got it out, the iPhone was a completely different size and shape. Did it go from 30-pin to Lightning? Was that what that one was?
I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think it went from the 4S to the 5.
Yeah, which,
if I remember correctly,
part of the reason for having the Lightning, like having the Lightning made the whole thing easier because it was all about not having to press the two things on the side to pull the phone out, and Lightning never needed that. So yeah, anyway, look, this is a cool product. If anybody wants to get it for themselves, like, more power to you. But that's a little rich for me, I think.
As you mentioned, I'm concerned about future compatibility issues. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that we know there's a new iPad Pro coming out and this is coming out now. So I don't like that. I mean, I'm tempted, right? Obviously, I think it's a cool idea, but the price tag is what it is, and the timing is a little unfortunate. And also, I would feel better about this if iPadOS had better support for USB accessories, where Like
Yeah.
I could picture myself using something like this if, say, connecting an audio interface to my iPad Pro didn't involve all the extra hardware and cables that it does right now. And I just don't have a need for a docking station with a bunch of USB ports where effectively, like, it's not like I'm plugging in USB drives all day long to use them in the Files app, right? It's like if USB support was better, this would make a lot more sense. So a combination of these things, the price, the timing, and the current support for USB accessories in iPadOS, I think this is a pass for me right now.
It is like I think we may have mentioned it at the time. Like, this is a perfect product for what we want the iPad to do.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect product for what it can actually realistically do right now.
Yes.
And having like 3 or 4 USB ports attached to your iPad is mostly pointless for the actual amount of things you can do with it. When really you might just need one. So maybe one day though.
So much money.
It's a lot of money, right?
It's so much money. Well, let's take a break. How does that sound?
Okay.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace. Make your next move with Squarespace. It lets you easily create a website for your next idea with a unique domain name, award-winning templates, and more. Maybe you want to create an online store or have a portfolio to share your work or write a blog or host a podcast. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that lets you do all of that stuff. And there's nothing to install on a server. There's no software patches to worry about in the middle of the night. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff because Squarespace has it covered. They have award-winning 24/7 customer support if you need any help. Lets you quickly and easily grab a unique domain name, and all of those award-winning templates are beautifully designed for you to show off your great ideas. One of my favorite things about Squarespace is the ability to add functionality to a website over time. So last year, I built a site for a nonprofit here in Memphis. They're a food kitchen for the hungry, and put a site together, basic information, some donation forms, and that sort of thing. And towards the end of the year, they wanted to start blogging and have updates about their work. And it was really easy for me to go in and add a blog, and I tweaked the layout a little bit, and now they can just update posts on their own. And I didn't have to burn the site down to do it. I just a few minutes, and it was up and running. Squarespace plans start at just $12 a month, but you can start a trial with no credit card required by going to squarespace.com/connected. When you decide to sign up, use the offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain name and to show your support for the show. Once again, that's squarespace.com/connected and the code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase. We thank Squarespace for their support of the show and all of Relay FM. Squarespace. Make your next move. Make your next website.
Carrot Weather 5 came out since we last recorded. We spoke about it because we were referencing Brian, who makes Carrot Weather, his post on Reddit talking about the upcoming changes to the application as an example of openness and transparency with customers when it comes to subscription stuff. And I think it's a good counterpoint to some of the stuff we were talking about last time. So Carrot Weather did have a subscription plan already, but this new version made some changes to the feature set. Like, it expanded some and changed some and added new features in for different tiers. There was also, it seems like, as there always is with this stuff, which does make me so sad when I see this, there was a bug somewhere in the app, or whether it's a thing on Apple's end, which made it seem like features were being taken away from the application until you did the restore purchases thing. And it's just always a shame to me that the general rhetoric around this is that people assume that things are being taken away from them rather than it's a bug. But this is just the way that things have gone over time. But nevertheless, Carrot Weather in general is the prime example, I think, of an app that has been improved by having subscription revenue. There is always new stuff getting added. Every new technology that Apple creates in iOS every year is added into Carrot where appropriate. Like, it's almost like I kind of think of Carrot now kind of in the way that I think about pCalc, right? Where, like, things are going to get put in the application whether they make sense or not. just because why not add them? Like AR modes, right? Like both pCalc and Carrot Weather have AR mode, which is for a calculator and a weather app, probably don't need them, but why not put them in? And as customers of those applications, I like having it there because it's like a fun part to it. But Carrot Weather 5 changes the app in a big way, and the thing that has changed the most and the thing that I love the most about it is now incredibly configurable. Like the app references like interface builder.
Yeah.
Like, so you basically create your own interface. And that's the perfect way to put it, because the amount of control that you have over the application, what's shown, in what order it's shown, exactly what data you want in different places, it is incredibly powerful. And I hope that this is a trend that could begin now with some of these types of applications. Like, let me as the user, just give me loads of stuff and let me arrange it in the way that I want. And the other thing I do really like about this is because of this stuff, because of the work that's been put in, it's now really leaning more towards powerful weather tool than it ever has before. Like, one of the things about the Carrot apps is like the personality, right? Like the snarky personality that the app has, and it can talk to you and say stuff. I feel like more than ever, you can disable all of that much more easily and more quickly than ever before. And I think that that's a good idea. I think it's fun to have it, but I think not having it as well, it also opens the app up to a wider audience. Over time, I've just turned some of that stuff off because the app went from being, hey, this is fun, to, in my opinion, this is the very best weather app, to now, I consider this one of the best iOS apps ever made. And so I don't need the fun hook anymore that the personality gave me. Some people still go for it, and like, that's cool. But I like now that you can just really easily just remove all of that, and now it's just my really powerful, configurable, beautiful weather app.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff turned off. One thing I also want to touch on about the subscription stuff, there's also the factor, I think most of our listeners know this, is that weather data is not free for these app makers. When they go and ping whatever weather service you're using, they get charged. They get charged for radar data, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's not just about ongoing maintenance and updates, even though Carrot Weather has definitely received those. It is also about you are paying for the data you see in the app. And so out of all the app subscriptions, and we talked about these last week, the subscriptions that we all pay for, in some ways, weather apps is like the simplest transaction because they got to pay for data and I'm paying them. And so I have no problem whatsoever with this business model. And I'm really eager. I hope Brian talks about this at some point. Carrot Weather used to be paid up front, and then it had in-app subscription for various features tied to different types of weather data. And now it is free up front with these subscriptions in the app. And so
that's the difference, because I wasn't sure. I knew something had changed, but I didn't know what it was, and I'd forgotten that it wasn't free.
Yeah, so I imagine that's going to put this in front of many more people, and I think because it is more customizable and I think more professional, even if you leave all the snark and stuff on, it looks more professional than it ever has. I really just hope he has all the success because this is fantastic. I agree with you. This is one of the best iOS apps I've ever used.
So now that it is so configurable, I wanted to kind of run through all of us and talk about how we have it set up, because I expect the three of us have very different needs from a weather app, considering our places in the world, right? Like, we have, the three of us, very different climates that we live in. So I thought it would just be fun to go through it. The application has a bunch of presets, and then you can configure them. The preset that I have is the default one, which is called Odin, which I don't exactly know why this is the default. I think it's new for this version, but there's like a bunch of different themes. One of the things that I did like about the customization, on the first day that you use it, it gives you just a few features and it like kind of doles them out over time so you can add the complexity in, or you can do what I did, which is what I assume most people did, as a button that you can tap to give you every option at once. And I think that's really smart, like not to overwhelm people, that they feel like they have to like sit down for an hour and really tweak this. But I did just that. Like, I sat down and wanted to like set the whole thing up and spend like half an hour on it. And so I like that I had that option. So from my kind of the way that I have it set up, I have the current observations at the very top, which kind of is just like a summary. And I have the temperature. I have the feels like temperature because I don't know why you'd want any other temperature. The precipitation chance, is it going to rain? The high and low of the day. And then just like a summary of what the in text of what the weather is. Then I have an hourly forecast kind of block, followed up by cards of relevant data. And this is kind of clever. So it's like a spot of 4 little pieces of data that can be shown, which are relevant things. So at the moment, I've got 0.5 millimeters of rain in the next 12 hours, what time sunrise is, and the wind speeds. And they change based on what the weather's like every day. Then I have a weekly, like a daily forecast. So it's showing me over the next 7 days, the kind of summary of each day. And I have precipitation amount again and high and low temperature. Then I have summary cards there. Then there are these like daily summaries of evening, overnight, morning, afternoon, it's saying for me now, of temperature, rain amount, wind speed, and UV index. I just thought that'd be cool to have in there. Like, why not? And then at the bottom, there's this data points thing where it's just, here's a bunch of stuff. Like, it's all of the types of things you might consider for weather, like pressure and humidity and visibility and all that kind of stuff, just at the bottom. So yeah, it's nice, set up nicely. Steven just sent me a text saying we should make screenshots. So there will be screenshots in the show notes of our weather setups in case you're interested.
I also use the Odin theme.
I think we all started from the same preset.
I think we did. Yeah, looking at our notes.
I think it's the one you're given, and I did play around with them, but this was the one I liked the most. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the best one.
Yeah, I do too. So for me, I have current observations. I show the actual temperature and the feels like temp. I like seeing both. The high-low for the day, and then sunrise, sunset, and then sort of the text about what's going on, all that at the top. My hourly forecast I have horizontally, so I can scroll across it, so it takes up less space. And I have the precipitation chance and amount, basically anywhere I can put it. The daily forecast I have vertically under that, and then I have the data points in text, and I have almost all of them on because it's fun to see all that data. So mine is very text heavy, and I tried to make it basically as visually dense as possible.
One of the differences looking at our screenshots is you both have like the kind of landscape kind of look.
Yeah, I thought that was
and I just have like the colored block. There's like a setting somewhere to change that part.
Yeah, you can change like the layout of any individual section independently if you want.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I thought the illustration was the only fun touch I allowed in the app, because I also, like, I turned off all the snark and like those features months ago, because I don't like when I open it, I don't really need it. It's like the same reason why I turned off the caret button in the top bar.
Yes.
Because it's like the whole gamification thing with the personality. Like, I get it as a hook to start using the app. Now I just really want a way for me to open something that gives me the weather that I want and the information that I want as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. So that was my thought. And my layout is basically like based on the Odin theme as well, which I simplified for my very simple needs. Like, all I want to know from a weather app is the current conditions, what's it going to be like on a hourly basis for the next 2 days. And so right underneath the illustration, I have a horizontal graph for the next 48 hours with the mini size. So this is the compact layout for it. Then I have the F4 cards. Right now in the screenshot, you only see 2 of them because the other 2 are not relevant. So I have high and low and sunrise and sunset, but I also have rain and wind. But because it's not raining and it's not going to be windy over the next 24 hours, those cards do not show up because they're not over the threshold.
Oh yeah, because you can set that too, can't you? Like,
you can set it up in settings. You can say those cards are dynamic, and you can say if rain is gonna be over, say, I don't know, 5 millimeters over the next X number of hours, then show up. Otherwise, stay hidden. And I thought that was a really clever touch. And finally,
There are
have
a million clever touches in this application.
Yeah, that's one of the many. And lastly, I have a vertical list for the forecast for the next 7 days. And the only data point that is shown, I mean, in addition to the default, so in addition to the little icons for the weather conditions and the temperatures, I have the chance of rain, which I think is that's effectively the only variable happening in Rome most of the time. Like, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have snow, we don't really have anything else. It's either going to be good weather or it's going to rain. And so it's a pretty simple setup, and I figured I want to make sure that as much as possible, like, I don't want to scroll this screen. It should fit on a single page as much as possible. I think right now on my Pro Max, I only have to scroll if I want to go beyond 3 days in the final next 7 days forecast.
Yeah, I did that's how because you can adjust the padding and stuff.
You can adjust the height, you can adjust the line spacing in the interface maker.
So I did the same. I set it up so I would get today, everything I want to know about today, and then the next 3 or 4 days without needing to scroll. Oh my God, this app is so good.
It's very good, and it's part of this idea of I seriously think that customization, it's gonna we saw this trend start from the home screen, and I think it will expand to more and different areas of the OS, because to me it only feels natural that our devices and really the apps that we use are so mature at this point, then the next logical step, at least to me, feels like, well, now that we have all these options, why not let users customize them more? And that feels like an obvious approach to me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's only logical that Carrot Weather had all these, these different data points before, these different integrations, all these different modules that you could install in the app and customize in the widget. But you didn't really have full control over the UI, and now you do. And I think that's the way to go. And I think it's something that I want to start seeing in more apps. Not that I do not want developers to make their own choices. I just feel like it's better if users also have the option to rearrange things around, because we're not stupid.
I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? The developer still has to make all of the choices.
Right. The developer makes the tools and makes the default choices.
Yeah.
But I think the Carrot approach in this case is really well done. Same with Widgetsmith, for example, right? Mm-hmm. David made all those tools, all those features possible, but then it's up to you to do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, I think it's... I really love it. I wanted to also ask what data source you use. I use Dark Sky right now. I'm nervous about this because I don't know what's going to happen to it when that API thing runs out. And the reason I do it is because it has good kind of 7-day availability in the UK, but it also has the precipitation alerts and within within an hour or whatever. And I don't want to lose that. I don't really know what to do, so I just I was just wondering, what do you guys use for the for your data source?
I use AccuWeather in general, because I think that turned out to be the most accurate when I last did a bunch of tests last year. But for a few months now, I have used a Netatmo personal weather station, so that when I'm in a 1.5 kilometer range of my home, Carrot Weather automatically switches to that. And so it shows me... I
didn't know it did that. Oh my God, that's so smart.
Yeah, it's got Netatmo, you log in with your Netatmo account in Carrot's settings. And so when you're in close range to your home, it shows you data... the data that it can collect, right? So temperature, humidity, that kind of stuff. I don't have a rain sensor, for example, so it uses the other source for that part. But for the basic info, it uses my personal weather station.
And which weather station do you have?
The basic one, the Netatmo personal weather station. It's a 2-module thing. It's there's a little indoor cylinder and an outdoors sensor.
You don't have one of these, Steven? A weather station? I feel like you would be a weather station person.
Yeah, the thing is, if I do it, I'm going to want to go all Jason Snell on it and do a a real one? Like, no, I
yeah,
mean,
it's not that kind of weather station. This is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a very simple one.
and so I have not allowed myself to go down that road because I would just spend all the money.
And you use the radar stuff a lot, right?
I do use the radar a lot. In my part of the U.S., we get these big storms, and so the radar is really critical to me, and that is really good in carrot weather. And in 5, it's even easier to get to because there's just a tab on the bottom. In carrot weather 4, it was like more than one tap to get to it. So I really appreciate that becoming more front and center. Like Federico, I use AccuWeather. I've looked at a bunch of these sources, and it seems to be the most accurate when comparing it with local data.
You'd hope so, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right
it's in the name, so it's not it's not called AccuWeather. So
It's like kind of weather. Maybe.
I also just don't like how the dark sky API puts in like 1% chance of rain. It's like that doesn't matter to me. Like you know, like some of their data is a little funny sometimes. I do have it pull in dark sky, so I do get, hey, it's going to start raining in 10 minutes. That's still very accurate where I live, but I prefer the AccuWeather forecast data, and Carrot Weather can blend the two. So that's how I have mine set up. One thing we didn't mention is that there are ads in Carrot Weather 5, but they're all for other indie apps or weird made up things.
I love the made up ones. They're very funny.
Yeah, so like in John's review, there's one for pay off your medical bills, sell your kidneys, want your very own baby, bribe a corrupt stork in your area today. So
as always, right on brand. Well done.
and I like that is for like indie things, and so you can. I think that's a really cool way to do it. Brian has said that may become actual advertising at some point, but he wants to do it in a way that doesn't track anything. So at this point, he's just doing it all himself with these indie and funny ads.
I saw them somewhere, but even the ads for other iOS apps, it's still written in this style.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they did one for Dark Noise, and it was kind of, I don't remember the exact thing, but it was along the lines of like, do you need to shut out the horrors of the world or something like that, right? Like you use Dark Noise. So I like that that's in there. I often wonder, who's writing this stuff? Like Brian Mueller, the developer, is he doing it? How much of his day is spent?
I don't want to get this wrong. I believe he's got a major in English literature.
I mean, he has to
He does.
be very skilled in this area.
Again, Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong when you listen to this. I think the last time we interviewed him on App Stories, he told us the story of like, he actually is like a really good writer. And he used to write fiction. Maybe, I don't know. I may be misremembering details.
But it must take so much time.
And it's really well done as well.
Yeah.
Like the snarky part, even if like I keep it off, but it's really well done and it's really on point as well. So he spends a lot of, I don't remember like how many thousands of new lines of dialogue this new version of Carrot Weather has. But thousands.
But I just
think.
assumed he's adding them daily, right? Because there's always...
Yeah, he can push
And he's
them.
got a system for pushing them from the server to the app.
Man.
Yeah, it's like when something happens, like worldwide, some global event, and you see the little snark in Carrot Weather. That's always funny.
It's very impressive. So if you haven't checked this out, go check it out. And like we said, our setups for this will be in screenshots in the show notes. This episode of Connected is brought to you by PDF Pen from our friends at Smile. Power through PDFs with the Mac community's favorite PDF editor, so you can fall in love with your work again. With PDF Pen, you can show PDF who's boss. Edit any PDF with a click of a button, fix typos, and add text as easily as you would in a word processor. Breathe new life into paper documents. With the magic of OCR, turn images of handwritten and printed text into content you can search, copy, and edit. You can protect your content and ensure your documents are safe through password protection, metadata removal, and true redaction. And your documents will look like you're a pro, so you can impress your boss, your colleagues, and your clients with efficient, secure, and 100% digital workflows like filling out, signing, and copy editing, just like it's 2021. PDF Pen is the tool I turn to when I'm doing stuff with PDFs on my Mac. We've all struggled to use, built-in tools. Just stop. PDF Pen, so much better. And you can do anything with PDFs with this tool. It's really impressive. PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro work with PDF Pen for iPhone and iPad for seamless editing across devices with cloud services such as iCloud, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and more. Learn more about PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro at smilesoftware.com/podcast. Apple is hiring. This is a report that came out a couple of days ago. They are looking for a senior engineering project manager to join Apple's health hardware group to work on, quote, Apple-branded health hardware products, according to this job listing. This is really interesting to me because it seems to tip the hand that Apple is looking at additional hardware that could tie into their health kit ecosystem. And I want to know what we would want to see. What do we think this could be?
Well, one thing, I did go and the job posting's still up because I've seen this stuff in the past where someone's put something in a job posting which might not be right. But it's still up. And this role, it's in the Apple branded health hardware products team. Apparently, this team does stuff like the working with gym companies and things like that. Like it's an existing team. But this particular role seems to strongly hint at products from Apple, right? So I just wanted to set that up. I was like, it's a team that already exists doing other stuff.
Right.
But it also, the way that this role is outlined kind of seems like you would be responsible for helping with the final parts of putting something to market, which seems that like if this is a product that Apple's making, could hint towards the fact that something's soon. Maybe AirTags have been a health product all along, right?
But
So we were supposed to all run around to find the things.
but couldn't it just be a new Apple Watch?
Yeah, but is Apple Watches aren't in the health hardware team, surely, right? That's the Apple Watch team.
But imagine Apple saying, like, we are adding new sensors, health-related sensors to the Apple Watch, and you gotta write the job posting in a way that it sounds super generic. Like, isn't this the way that you will write it?
Yeah, but then it's not a very fun topic.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, we're using this as a lead into something else. But there is a team called Apple Health Hardware, and they do stuff. And it's also worth remembering, I'm probably going to mention these in a minute, they own that company, Bedit. Do you remember these? It's like a sleep monitor thing.
Yeah, I had one of those. My girlfriend had me remove it from our bed in like 2 days. It's like, no, you're not keeping that thing under the sheets.
They get the FileMaker treatment. So the bottom of the Bedit website says copyright 2019 Apple Inc., which is funny because that's now 2 years out of date. So it shows that they're getting the old FileMaker treatment where shush, Bedit, just get on with what you're doing kind of thing. But it's still a product you can buy. You're technically buying it from Apple. Maybe that's part of this team. Maybe they're doing more. But yes, I understand what you're saying. Could be nothing. But if it was something, what would you like it to be?
I would love to have like an Apple-made smart scale, like a very basic one. I used to have a Y Things scale years ago, and then it stopped working, so I got another one.
Mine is branded Nokia,
Okay.
even though I use the YThings app. So going back to what we were talking about earlier on, the app is now YThings, but my scale is Nokia, which is just funny with the backwards and forwards. But yeah, I have one of those.
Got another one from another brand that I don't remember, and then it also stopped working. So I guess I would really love to have a very simple smart scale made by Apple that is reliable, durable, that does not use basic Bluetooth, but something more, with a stronger connection that ties in with the Apple Watch, that ties in with my phone. I just want to weight myself without having to wait for Bluetooth connections or for battery life to, run out after 2 months. Very, very basic, simple product.
Scales?
I don't know. Something is wrong, man. I don't know. It's my bathroom is sucking up all the Bluetooth, I guess. I don't know. What's
Humidity? Surely they're built for that, though.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It was just like the batteries didn't run out. You're like, well, this thing's broken.
So there's that. Obviously, myself, you as the thief of my chest strap.
Oh boy.
I would love to have an Apple-made one for like intense workouts or for people who cannot wear an Apple Watch, like like a better heart rate monitor made by Apple as a chest sensor. I think that would be interesting.
I'd love that too, because then I would have a new thing to steal.
Right, you as the resident thief of the show
Of chest heart rate monitors.
Sweaty heart rate monitors. You will love that.
Like everyone has their thing, right? Everyone has their thing.
Everyone has a thing, and that is yours. That is
mine.
Look, this is a safe space. We're not judging you.
We
We love you, and we
sweaty
understand
chest
you,
monitors.
and we support you no matter what your thing is.
Thank you.
And finally, I think I'm intrigued by the idea of Apple making actual workout equipment. Like, what if you could buy okay, let me rephrase. What if Apple made a Peloton bike, basically? Like, actual equipment made by Apple. That would be fun.
I don't know why. Like, we're talking, people are talking about cars, right? Apple car.
Yeah, I don't want an Apple car. I want an Apple bike.
This makes more sense to me, like Apple making exercise equipment than a car.
Yeah.
Like I could genuinely, because it feels closer to what they do and what they're good at doing and what they've been successful at doing than a car. Because like I don't hear a lot of great things about CarPlay, and that's kind of as far as a car has gotten. But like Apple Watch and Fitness Plus, people love that stuff. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. And also, I imagine, I'm just going to take a bet here that an exercise bike is easier to build than a car.
I'm just, just taking a bet.
I'm just going to take a guess. And also, I assume it's, less moral and regulatory issues with cars than exercise bikes. So I would like to see that kind of stuff. It would be interesting.
Bikes, treadmills, obviously. Like all kinds, like cover the most popular workouts first, and then maybe expand, a yoga mat made by Apple, because why not, right?
Made of aluminum.
My girlfriend bought a professional Pilates mat like a few years ago. And those things, like the actual professional things, are expensive.
You know what they'd make it out of, though? That same material they make the Magic Keyboard out of, and like that terrible.
Oh no! Oh my god!
That's
oh god.
So like you would physically just grip to it, like you wouldn't be able to move. It'd be horrible.
I will cover it in stickers, just like the Magic Keyboard. Sticker covered yoga mat.
Yeah, honey, did you put kickstands on my yoga mat? Please stop.
Hey, are you still living that kickstand life?
Well, no, I'm using the Magic Keyboard.
Oh yeah, that was on the smart keyboard, wasn't it? The
Yeah, that was on the
kickstands.
smart
Yeah,
keyboard.
for all I know, you put kickstands on the Magic Keyboard. I don't know.
Kickstands are not like a thing for me, like chest straps may be for you. It's just one thing that I did once.
I don't know, because it started off with like 1, and then there were like 12.
Yeah, but on the same product, like it was contained to the same accessory.
It was weird.
It was not weird. It was not.
It was weird.
Oh, okay. Says the guy who steals sweaty straps from people who go to gyms. Okay, sure.
The kickstands were weird. They were very useful
weird.
for you, but they were weird.
They're not
You had these
weird.
tiny little feet on your iPad.
They're not
that
weird.
you used to just flick them out and stand your iPad up on it.
They're not foot shaped. They are. I don't.
It's strange to have all of these kickstands all
not-
over the place.
It's not strange. I don't get it. Really. But we should. So back to the topic. At some point, we should revisit the idea of the Apple Car and our thoughts on it, especially in light of the recent rumors about it. Because I personally am not sold on the idea of purchasing an Apple Car right now.
I don't want to have to think about it, even. Right? Like, I don't even want to have to think about my career.
Yeah. How do you cover an Apple car?
Yeah, in the sense of there's now this thing that they do, and it's a car.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if that becomes a big talking point for a period of time, which it certainly will, right? Because it would be so weird if they do it. I don't feel comfortable even conceiving of having to deal with that.
You know how sometimes I will try one piece of technology and then end up trying a different piece of technology and selling the first one. It's happened.
Aren't you doing that again right now?
It's happened once or twice.
You're doing it now, aren't you?
Can you imagine doing that with a car?
Do you notice how he's not answering me, which means he's editing this out?
And I'm going to try to phrase this in a way that I don't offend anybody. But it seems to me as if people who purchase a certain type of electric car these days, they become very quickly obsessed with sharing photos of that particular car. And it's like the whole life now revolves around that particular brand and the CEO of that brand and that car.
Yeah, you're talking about Mazda.
Yes, everybody's buying Mazdas these days, right? It's like it's the hot new thing. Hey, I just got a Mazda. It's like they're sharing these photos of the like what's it called in the car? The cockpit? It's not called. What's it called?
No, cockpit. Yeah, you got it. And everyone's like, "Oh man, I love Akira Maramoto. He's my favorite. Akira Maramoto. He's a visionary."
Sure.
He's like, changing the world.
Okay, do you spend like your day, like do you live in your car now? Because all you do is share photos of your steering wheel. Of your
I think
Mazda.
for the price of some of these things, I think for some people the answer is, yeah, they do now.
Well,
cars are very expensive.
The more photos you take, you get a discount or something. I don't know. How does it work? It's like and they get so giddy when there's a software update, right? It's like, hey, now I can play Pac-Man in my Mazda. It's like, okay, describe to me how exactly that works. Well, you have 30 minutes free in your day, in your afternoon. You're like, honey, I'm going to the garage and I'm going to play a little Pac-Man in my Mazda.
Oh, no, it rained. My Mazda's bumper came off.
And remember, we are talking only about Mazda here.
That's right.
If you think we're talking about something else, we didn't say that.
I said nothing. I said Mazda.
Mazda.
Myke said Akira Maramoto.
And Akira Maramoto only.
So, anyway, this is not a topic today. It's just a parenthesis.
I tried Googling to see if Akira Maramoto owned a space rocket company, because that would have been the best thing ever, and I couldn't find anything that suggested that they do.
They don't.
It's a shame. Can you imagine how perfect that would be?
It would be great.
That would be incredible.
Mazdas have a real smell to them. They have a real
wait, smell?
Yeah, like a real musky smell.
There we go.
Okay.
So I wonder where it was going. I wonder what it was going to be, and there it is. They got it.
For a second, I thought that smelling Mazdas was Steven's new thing.
It's my special thing.
But it was just a bad joke. It's just, okay.
Can we bring this all the way back around to the original topic
and
again?
I apologize.
Right.
Sorry.
No,
yes.
it was a great aside. We all learned some new things about Mazda. We've referenced this a little bit earlier. I want an Apple Watch about the watch part.
Yep.
So all the sensors. That's what I want.
So without a screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So a Fitbit.
So I want something that does all my fitness tracking, heart rate tracking, all of that kind of stuff. Just like a tasteful sport band that's just, basically looks like the sport bands, right?
Like an
it's
Apple
just a
band.
bracelet that I wear, right? And I would love that product. I think it would be a great thing for them to create at some point. I really hope that they do. It can send all of that stuff to my iPhone. It would get, I assume, multiple days of battery life. I would love it. I think it'd be super cool. If they wanted to, I wouldn't use this, but if they wanted to, they could try and put some kind of taptic thing in it. I don't know. As I've said this many times, saying I like to wear watches. I also want that information. I'm not wearing two watches. That would be a product I'd really love.
Would you wear it around your ankle?
No, I'd wear it on my other wrist.
He's not a Mazda fan. Come on.
Yeah. I now feel bad for Mazda owners.
No one owns a Mazda.
We'll find out.
Oh, that's what you think.
We'll find out.
I see the pictures in my Twitter.
Whole Instagram accounts.
People in their Akira Maramoto posters.
That's right. Hashtag Mazda fam. Mazda mania.
I would like an actual fully integrated sleep tracking device. Not that weird Bed-it thing, because I also don't like to wear watches when I sleep. I never have. But I am interested in sleep tracking, but I would like I would like a product for that, and I would like, because again, people are going to say to me, hey, there is this product that can do what you want. There is this product that you can do what you want. Like, I like the idea of more health connected technology at home, like thermometers, blood pressure devices, all that kind of stuff. It just seems like the technology exists for me to be able to do these things at home now. But I don't want to buy these from any kind of rando company. Like, this is the kind of technology where I'm like, where even I am worried about privacy implications of it. Right, because I know I tend to be a little bit like, I'll use Instagram, whatever. Like, I will opt into personalized ads because I like the personalization. You know, like, there is a spectrum of people's decisions about privacy. I tend to be a little bit more like, I'll take the trade-off. But when it comes to like things measuring stuff about the health of my body, I want to feel like I can intrinsically trust that company. So I feel like I want Apple to make more products like this, even if stuff already exists out there in the world. I don't want to get like a blood pressure device from whatever company that keeps getting bought and sold by Finnish phone makers, right? Like, you know, like I that's the kind of stuff where I really want to feel like I can trust the company that is selling them to me. Is that wild? What I just said? Oh.
No, I'm right there with you. I think there's a big market for Apple to do this. I think the privacy stuff alone that Apple is so good at and talk about so often would put them in a good position in the market. Not only are they stable and not being bought and sold by Nokia every 10 minutes, but the fact that people could trust the devices to keep everything on their phone, it would all sync into HealthKit so you could have all your data with you all the time. That's what's so great about the Apple Watch is you have this rolling history. And if you have one with an ECG or with the blood oxygen sensor, all that data is in there as well. I think it makes a ton of sense for them to move into this. And honestly, I wish they would. I wish they would make, cool exercise bikes and stuff and flesh out this ecosystem. And I think Fitness Plus could be the road to that, right? It's not that different from Peloton. They started with biking, and over the years, they've added other things. You could start with the fitness classes and build out hardware and other things around it. And so I think it's totally in their wheelhouse. And Tim Cook is big on talking about Apple's impact in their users' lives when it comes to health and fitness. And so it's even on brand from that perspective.
It's another realm of consumer technology, right? That's logical to get into and to continue pushing into, because they have seen great success with the Apple Watch, and I think a big part of that is all of the health stuff. I think that's what people care about.
I'm with you. I want to wear other watches, but I'm doing physical therapy right now, and so when I do that, I take my watch off and put my Apple Watch on to track that workout because I want that data, and I wish I didn't have to switch back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into iOS 14.5, but first, let me take our last break. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Mack Weldon. There's a lot of things we all want to leave behind in 2020. One of those things for you might be your old underwear drawer. If you're rolling into the new year with the same bunching, uncomfortable underwear you've always had, check out Mack Weldon. Mack Weldon stuff is fantastic. Everything I have tried from them, I absolutely love. And it is slowly taking over more and more of my dresser. And it's not just underwear, it's socks and shirts and hoodies and polos, active shorts. I got a couple pairs of those for when I want to be active, and they're fantastic.
And in shorts.
Yep. That's why I have carrot weather. I can see is it active weather, active short weather.
Is it active shorts day or not?
Mack Weldon promises comfort and a consistent fit, so you and everyone on your gift list can look great and feel great. From working out, going to work, or on a date, Mack Weldon is for everyday life. With a wide range of customized fabrics, your garments will keep up with you no matter what your day looks like. And don't forget to join Weldon Blue, the totally free loyalty program. Level 1 gets you free shipping for life. Once you reach level 2, by spending $200, you get 20% off every order for the next year. Mack Weldon wants you to be comfortable. So if you don't like your first pair of underwear, you can keep them and they'll still refund you, no questions asked. For 20% off your first order, visit mackweldon.com macweldon.com/connected and enter promo code connected. That's macweldon.com/connected. And the promo code connected will get 20% off your first order. Mack Weldon is reinventing men's basics. Our thanks to Mack Weldon for their support of the show and Relay FM.
Apple released the beta 1 of iOS 14.5. Did 14.4 just come out? Or was it 14.3?
0.4 came out.
It was 0.4 that just came out. I'm getting lost in all the numbers. There's been so many numbers, which actually leads me to a question I wanted to ask you, Federico. Is a 0.5 release unprecedented?
In February, I think so. Usually this is like March, April. Like 0.5. Yeah.
What release brought the trackpad support to
0.3
iPad?
and it was in the spring.
Yeah. So at least in recent times.
13.4.
Okay.
Yeah. In the spring.
Yeah, they didn't even start getting to 0.5s until the last couple of years. 0.3 was as high as they went for quite a while.
Yeah, and there's some of them that I believe maybe iOS 13 had version 0.6 and 0.7, but they were released like later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it is this timeline is a little accelerated at this point, having a 0.5 at this time of year. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff going on. I'll run through them and we can stop and talk about them if there's anything that we want to expand on. They finally put the Apple logo in landscape on the iPad like boot up screen.
Woo!
Maybe it's one of those things that they've been meaning to check them off their list forever, and they finally had the time. But what's the significance of the horizontal Apple logo besides being like a nice thing?
Well, I think it's been pretty obvious for a long time that the iPad is mostly used horizontal, right? Like, because Apple continued to make all these cases that put it in horizontal. And it's just one of those things where it's like, why do it now? Why is it taking you so long? And why have you done it now? I assume a lot of the time it means nothing, right? It's just that they just got round to it. But I think it's also fun, like how we look at the invites to Apple events and try and work out what they mean, to look at random esoteric changes in iOS and work out what they mean. So this is one of those things. Something that's probably more useful to people is emoji search on the iPad virtual keyboard. Federico, can you explain to me how this is different, or like what's going on here that's maybe not in other places?
So what's going on is that emoji search was added to the iPhone's keyboard in iOS 14. And it was like one of the big features for regular people, like, oh, you can finally search for emoji. And what was weird about it is that iPadOS received the same emoji sort of a makeover with a new emoji pop-up in iPadOS 14. However, there was no search field. So they redid it based on the iPhone design. But the key feature of it, the reason why a lot of people were excited about this emoji update, they did not ship it on the iPad. And it was weird because it's not like we're talking about, say, the home screen and having home screen widgets, which are missing on iPad. And you can make the argument for, well, that's a big complex thing and the iPad home screen is different, right? So maybe they need more work, they need more time. We don't like it, but we understand. It was like a literal search box in an emoji pop-up, and it was missing, and it kept, not being available until iPadOS 14.5. So I don't know. I struggle to imagine the complexity of adding an emoji search field to the iPad once you've done the work on iPhone. It's like, what, you forgot to add it? Like, I don't get it. Still, nice that it's finally available, I guess.
When you install these new betas, do you still try and add widgets to the home screen?
On the iPad? I don't have the beta on my iPad.
Oh, okay. Do you not? You put it on your iPhone?
Every time a new beta version of iPadOS 14 comes out, I see the tweets of people saying, "Oh, still no widgets." Look, I don't think it's happening in the iPadOS 14 cycle at all.
No, it's probably 15.
If they're doing it, but I said this last year in June, we had the same conversation. Like, if they're doing it, they're not gonna just flip a switch and say, we enabled it on iPad." No, because when they do it, you know that it'll come with other changes to the home screen and new widget sizes for the iPad. I think that's the reasonable way to go about it. Having more layout options and having more size options for widgets in iPadOS. So I think I would stop waiting for the magical beta of iPadOS 14 that adds widgets to the home screen. It's not going to happen until iPadOS 15. Hopefully, it's going to happen in 15.
There's indications that Apple Card will be available for a joint account, which is not a thing that's been available before. I'm still surprised that Apple Card has not made its way outside of America. That is a surprise to me that they haven't started doing the Apple Card in other countries. Fitness Plus gains AirPlay support. So if you have a television that has AirPlay on it, you can AirPlay from an iPhone or an iPad with your Fitness Plus workouts. But when you're using AirPlay, your heart rate and fitness ring and other metric stuff is not shown on the Apple TV. You have to look at those on your Apple Watch. Don't know why. I guess those things are an overlay in the Fitness Plus app, and it's not the videos. I guess that's what's going on there. Support for the new games console controllers, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox controllers are supported now too, which is cool. They've redesigned the search pages in the podcast app. Type to Siri has been changed. What's going on with Type to Siri?
So Type to Siri is now using the same compact UI that we've seen in other places in iOS 14. Previously, when you enable Type to Siri, which is an accessibility feature, it took over the entire screen, sort of a blurring the background. And it was really unchanged from iOS 13. But now they have updated it so that it's now like this compact bubble that appears at the top of the Siri indicator. And so it's just this small floating text field, and you can type in it, and it doesn't hide the background. It doesn't blur the background, so you see what's underneath, whether it's the home screen or an application that you're using. And it's just another instance of Apple redesigning something that was full screen and taking over the context of what you were doing and making it smaller, making it compact, using these floating elements that they have used in a bunch of places in iOS 14.
There's better support for 5G. You can now have dual SIM support. If you used 5G, you couldn't have a dual SIM. Apparently, it's made some stuff for T-Mobile too, which makes it better for 5G. App tracking transparency is one of the big things in 14.5. It's not being added, but this represents the deadline. So app tracking transparency is this thing where developers need to get permission from users to access their random advertising identifier to be able to track them around the web and in other apps. You've probably heard of this in relation to Facebook. There's Apple and Facebook are in a bit of a shouting match over this at the moment. I think this is going to be really interesting to watch how it's going to be rolled out. You know, like in theory, every application that has any advertising in it, which is powered by some kind of tracking, which is probably most of them, I suppose, every app's going to have to say to you, hey, can I track you? And then you say, yeah, or please don't. I wonder what it's going to be like. The only thing that I can kind of remember is, you remember when they changed, was it Bluetooth? And every application for a while was asking you about your Bluetooth location thing?
Yeah.
And it was really annoying. And I wonder if it's going to be like that. I'm also just intrigued to see how it ends up unfolding anyway, because there's a lot of money and companies at play here, and everyone's making increasingly aggressive attacks at each other. Like, mostly it's just Apple and Facebook right now, but I don't know if it's going to stay that way. I'm intrigued to see how this one's going to play out. Reminder sorting. What's going on there, Stephen?
I have so many things to say about this. I am a connoisseur of task managers. I think everybody knows that.
You're saying that to yourself. That is literally a compliment you're paying to yourself.
Look, I'm a man of the people, but right under that is connoisseur of task managers.
I don't know if...
Okay, so two compliments.
I don't think man of the people and connoisseur go together.
Well, man of the fancy people.
I'm a man of the people unless it comes to task managers, where I'm definitely better than you.
That's too long for the gravestone. You
There are
gotta.
many of the people with many asterisks at the end of that sentence. Okay.
Wait, did you just say you wanted that on your gravestone?
I'm saying what you said would be too long for a gravestone.
Stephen Hackett. Stephen and Michael Hackett.
Mm-hmm.
Man of the people. Connoisseur of task managers.
Wait, your middle name is Michael?
Yes.
So Mike, is your middle name Steven?
No. Wouldn't that be great, though?
It would be
I feel like I should
fantastic.
change my name.
Twins.
Oh, Stephen, Michael Hackett, and Michael Stephen Hurley.
That's what the M stands for in ISMH. It's Michael.
What do you think the M stood for?
I thought it was Mark.
No, that's my brother's name.
Wow.
Kind of.
Kind of.
The Hackett family naming is a trip.
What were we talking about?
Your gravestone.
So in the Reminders app, which got a redesign, what, Federico, in iOS 13? 12? When did they redo it?
It was 13.
Question. 13.
It was 13.
It was last,
Yeah.
2 years ago I wrote about it. Yeah.
Reminders got this big overhaul, much better, but you cannot sort things in a list in any automatic way. And so you added new tasks to a list and they'd show up at the bottom. And a lot of applications have options to sort by due date or alphabetically or by when it was added. Various apps have various options. Things like Todoist will automatically keep those lists sorted. So if you add a new item, it automatically goes into the right place. Something like OmniFocus, you have to resort the list every time. Anyways, Reminders didn't have this, which really bugged me because I really like sorting in my list, like them sorted by due date. So this comes out in the 14.5 beta. It's also very curiously in Big Sur 11.2, which is public. It's in 11.3 beta they added printing, but 11.2 adds the sorting, and you can.
Who needs printing?
You gotta
I guess printing's a thing.
print your task list.
Yeah.
Well, you want to go to the supermarket. You want to have a little piece of paper. You print out your reminders.
As soon as I said it, I realized the many, many reasons that you might want it. But then I second guessed myself of like, if it's so important, why has it taken 2.5 years to add it?
Mm-hmm.
I think if anyone really needed it, they're not using reminders.
Being this a feature designed arguably for old people, they probably, mailed their feature request to Apple and it took a while for the letters to arrive.
Hey, I didn't mail it. I faxed it.
See?
Come on.
So,
Fax it directly to Craig Federighi's desk.
Mm-hmm.
So the sorting works. It's on a per list basis, and you basically go into the list options and say sort by due date or whatever. It's still not exactly what I would want. It does this thing where tasks with no due date show up above tasks with dates. So in a list where
again.
So say you have a list with 2 items with no due dates.
Yeah.
They show up at the top of the list, above things that are overdue and due today and due tomorrow.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
As opposed to being at the bottom, which is where they should go.
They show up at the top?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's really weird. No other to-do app.
And you're sorting by due date.
Yes.
And they show up at the top.
Yes. They should show up at the
It's not
bottom.
like we live in Australia. Why do they show up at the top?
I don't know. They should show up at the bottom.
So
I will not accept
Does it
this. Why do they
change?
show up at the top?
do they always show at the top whether you're ascending or descending on date?
Right.
Let's see.
Are you ascending, Steven?
Well, no, there's no ascending or descending controls. It's just
Well, that
manual,
is-
due date, priority, creation, date, or
no,
title.
hold on. What if you tap this selected option again?
I'm on my Mac. Let me get my phone.
Does it toggle? Because sometimes they have these silly controls where it doesn't say ascending or descending, but if you tap it again, it switches the order.
Let's see.
Could it be?
Sort by due date.
Okay, tap it again.
Oh my gosh. On the Mac, they show up at the top. On iOS, they show up at the bottom.
But does the ascend... Oh, hang on, we need to come back to that in a second. Does the ascending, descending thing...
Okay. On iOS, you have the option of earliest first or latest first, which is effectively ascending or descending.
Yeah, no, that is what it is, but they don't name things It's like what is it? Outdent left and outdent right.
Outdent left.
I'm not. This is not a criticism. I think I said this at the time. Outdent left and outdent right. I know why, or it's indent left and indent right, whatever one it is. I know why you would do it, right? And it's the same way. While I know why you would do earliest first and latest first, rather than ascending and descending.
It's not how languages work.
I know, but they are easier to understand. Earliest first and latest first is easier to understand than ascending and descending, because typically ascending and descending is like USB for me. I always have to press it 3 times to get the one that I want. I think I want one, and then I change it, and then realize it wasn't the one that I wanted, and then go back to the original one. Because in my mind, I can never remember which one's going to be first if I'm ascending or descending. But anyway, so I know why they do
No, but outdent left and outdent right, it's as silly as saying... You know how there's left and right? Well, what if you said there's left and there's the other left? No, it's not called the other left. It's called right.
it's left and left times 2.
Inverse left.
That's not how it works. You can just make up words like that. Okay.
So on iOS, no due date shows up at the top when you sort by date. And it's on the iOS, it's at the bottom where it should be. So the 2 apps don't even act the same way in this sorting.
Well, could it be that on the Mac it's not done yet because it's in an earlier version?
It may be. I'm not running 11.3 on any of my Macs. So maybe in 11.3 they act the same. But
because on the iPhone, it's acting as we would want it to, right?
Yes.
With new stuff showing at the bottom, and then on the Mac, they're showing at the top. Okay.
The thing that really kills me, though, is... that the badging for all-day tasks is totally not what most of these apps do. And so in reminders, you have an option to say, hey, remind me to call Federico at 3 p.m. And at 3 p.m., I'll get an alert, and I'll get a 1 on the reminders badge because I have that one task now due. All-day tasks, so tasks without a time, but just a date, like call Federico sometime on Wednesday. Doesn't matter when I call him. I don't have a time associated with it. Just call Federico on Wednesday. In reminders on iOS and macOS, there's a setting that I'm going to get you the exact phrasing. It is today notification. Set a time to show a notification when there are all-day reminders with no specific time. So I could say, hey, I want at 8:30 a.m., for my Mac to remind me of all the tasks I have today that don't have a specific time associated with them.
Calendars stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can get a notification for all-day events at a certain time.
Right. Yes, it's exactly the same idea.
Yeah.
In every other app, when a task is due today, it becomes a number on the badge.
Yeah, it just badges it. Yeah.
Reminders doesn't do this. I think it used to. I'm not positive it used to, but at least it doesn't now in this newest version. Even if you have all-day reminders set. So I could see a world where the badge has nothing on it, and then when it hits 8:30, the time I told it, all 5 of my all-day tasks become a 5 on the badge, right? I have 5 things due today.
The badge shouldn't follow the alert time.
Well, it should follow something. And so there is...
Well, if something is, like, at least the way I see it, if something is due today, it badges. And then the alert time is something else.
Yes. That is how it should work. There is no way for an all-day task to badge in reminders until it's overdue the next day.
This feels like the perfect thing to write feedback about, in all honesty. I know we make fun of this, but this really feels like something you need to...
I have filed feedback.
Cool.
No, that's on iOS too?
Yes, iOS and the Mac. Weirdly, the today notification setting doesn't sync, so I could have my phone tell me at 10 a.m. about my all-day reminders. But I want the badge to show me what's due today. How almost every other app I've ever tried, and I've tried basically all of them, there are options. No badge, a badge for overdue items, or a badge for overdue plus today. My assumption is that the reminders team, and I know they work hard on this, and I'm sure they're great people, But like they're so afraid. Apple is so afraid in its first party apps to add complication like this. Like if it behaved this way where things sorted the right way and they were consistent on both platforms and it would badge overdue plus today, I could get by on reminders really easily. And then I could take advantage of all the cool stuff reminders can do in the system. But I can't because I really rely on that badge to tell me what's left in my day. I know not everyone works that way. It's the way that I work. It's just, I find it frustrating.
The app only badges when there is a timed thing that has passed.
Yes. Whether that be an all-day thing in previous days, or there was a time and the time is now passed. There's no badging for things that are just due today but haven't passed by yet.
So if an all-day event, does that set a badge? Like if you have the triggering to remind you?
No, it does not. An all-day task only becomes a badge when it's overdue by a day.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem.
That's even weirder. Why does it badge at all?
All that badges are things that are overdue. So say, in my example, call Federico at 3 p.m. At 3:01, it becomes a badge.
This is very confusing.
If I have, say, call Federico and there's no time, it won't badge until the next day. So if I don't call Federico on Wednesday, it becomes a badge on Thursday.
Why does it have the ability to do it at all, but only when the day has passed?
Because then it's considered, quote, overdue.
But why do they care about overdue items so much?
I don't know.
They make you feel bad too, like this insistence on something being overdue.
Yeah,
it's unhealthy.
That's why.
But the main problem is if it's an all-day task, it is still due today. Like the all day, it means the day is today.
Yeah.
So it should badge regardless.
But they only care if you don't do it on that day, right? Like now it's important.
Like, so it's all day, but you only want to make me feel bad the following day?
If I missed it, yeah.
Why?
And I get some people don't want badges or they only want to be told about overdue things. Then set the option that all these other apps have. Badge equals nothing. Badge equals overdue. Badge equals overdue plus today. That's how you fix this. You let people who designed this live the way they want to, and you let people like me who would like to use it live the way I want to.
Yeah, these are the types of applications that if you want to add more features to them, which they clearly do, right? Because they could have just left it how it was, like basically just a checklist app. They've clearly wanted to get more complicated because they're adding more complicated features. You have to start getting into the mindset of setting sensible defaults and then allowing for customization.
Yeah.
Like, it really is the only way to do applications like this. Calendars, and like the calendar app has quite a lot of customization you can do for it. Not as much as others, but enough. No, but like calendar applications to do applications, even notes applications to a point. Like anything where people are supposed to be using them for work, which is the intention here, you've got to start putting in additional functionality with settings. Like you just got to give into it at a certain point.
I have provided feedback over the years on this because I think it'd be awesome to be able to use all the. I mean, reminders can do so much. Like, remind me when I'm texting somebody about this thing. That'd be really useful to me. The badging is just like a fundamental way of the way that I work.
I think it'd be more awesome if they just opened those features up to any app.
Yeah, sure.
Personally.
Oh, I agree. But short of that.
In OmniFocus. No, I don't want to say that every time. I don't want to say that every time.
All right. So that's reminder sorting. We've held the best for last. Federico, tell us about Face ID in the Apple Watch.
Yeah, so you can now, in iOS 14.5, you can unlock your phone even if you're wearing a mask by wearing an Apple Watch running watchOS 7.3. So as long as the watch is unlocked and nearby, meaning on your wrist, Face ID will not fail. When it detects that you're wearing a mask, you will see a message saying unlocking with Apple Watch. It takes about a second, and you will get a haptic feedback on the watch, and your phone will unlock. And your watch will say iPhone unlocked with Apple Watch or something like that. And it works really well. It's fast. It just once you install all the updates, it just works, and I'm really impressed by it.
Now, question right off the top. It still knows it's you, though, right? Or it wouldn't do this. Like, if Sylvia tried to open your phone wearing a mask, your watch is not going to unlock it for her, is it? Like, the phone still thinks it's you. It still has to get a partial match, which it can do, but based on everything else except what is covered by the mask. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's still checking that it's Federico, right?
Are we positive that it does that?
Well, that's my assumption. I assume it has to, right? Because otherwise, that would be really. I don't know. I just feel like that would be really weird. I feel like it must know because your phone knows it's you, even to a point, which is how like this works for me. Where if I wear this one very specific type of mask that I wear a lot, I do have my phone on lock. Like I've said this on the show before, there's this one type of black mask that I wear the most. And if I'm wearing that mask and I'm in a well-lit area, my phone will unlock for me because it's trained on that. So my assumption is that it's looking at everything else about your face and is confirming that
That's what
feels
I would
like it's
assume as
you.
well.
Then checking that your watch is unlocked and in proximity, and then unlocking.
But I'm not sure if we can check for a partial match. I would love to know how it actually works.
Mm-hmm. I assume it has to be doing that, otherwise they wouldn't add this feature.
That would be my assumption as well. I've seen some tweets from people saying, "Oh, so now anybody can grab my phone and like unlock it with their face, even if my Apple Watch is nearby."
Yeah, I don't think that's what's going on here. I think,
but I mean, at that point, you have bigger problems, right? If someone is forcibly taking your phone and holding you by the wrist, you have a bigger problem, right? But I still want to
they
know.
don't need to hold you by the wrist, though. They could just like if you're in the same room,
or it could be right, or it could be like in the same. I want to know more about the distance. Like, what does nearby mean? Does it mean like 30 centimeters? Or does it mean like 2 meters away? Like, that's a difference if you're in the same room. And also, like, does it do any actual partial checking? I don't know. But for what I've done so far, like for what I've used so far, it works pretty well. And it's like, I'm convinced that like a lot of people will upgrade right away just because of this feature.
So Mac Rumors says the iPhone will unlock after a partial face scan. It just says that. I don't know how they know that, but that's what it's saying it will do. And I expect that is what is happening, that your phone is getting at least some data about you who can't complete the scan. Because we know that Face ID has the capability to do to recognize partial face scans because you train the system. So like that's the thing that we know that it can do, that if it thinks that it's got you but it's not sure, you put your PIN in and then the system learns. So the system has the ability to say, I think this is Federico but I'm not sure. So I expect that is what's happening. It's like
that would be like, that makes sense to me.
Because otherwise, I feel like it wouldn't be worth doing. Because we've gotten this far, right? We're a year into the pandemic now. If this feature was removing that level of security, I honestly, I feel like it wouldn't be worth enabling at this point. But as of right now, we do not have an answer for you, except that's what we think is going on. I mean, it's not going to make me wear an Apple Watch because I've gotten by. Right? Like I've definitely gotten by at this point, so it's not going to turn me around. But if you are already an Apple Watch owner, then awesome.
I think that's it. I think we're done. If you want to learn more about the stories we talked about, we have a bunch of links over on our website at relay.fm/connected/331. While you're there, you can get in touch via email with feedback or follow-up, or you can become a member and you'll get Connected Pro, which is an ad-free, longer version of the show each and every week. I do have some real-time follow-up. It seems like the 11.3 beta fixes the sorting issue in reminders. So
on the Mac?
on the Mac.
Right.
So forget what I said about sorting to the top and bottom with things that
All right.
with not the date. So that seems to be taken care of in the Mac beta. Okay. Where was I? I talked about links, how you can become a member, Get Connected Pro, which is really cool. You can find us all online as well. You can find Myke online. He is IMYKE on Twitter, and Myke hosts a bunch of shows here on Relay FM. Myke, anything you want to share this week? Last week you said you love everybody, so that was nice.
Now I'm unsure about everybody. Times have changed.
Suspicious.
I'm suspicious. I just have one eye on everyone.
You can find Federico on Twitter as Viticci, Viticci. He's the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net. Federico, what TV series do you enjoy watching and rewatching and rewatching?
Easy.
I know what this answer is.
DOC.
Yeah.
That's what I had in mind.
It's a combination of nostalgia, absolutely fantastic soundtrack, lots of good memories associated with the show, bands that I've got to know and actually met in person that I discovered by watching the OC, plus the whole thing of like high school memories. And yeah, absolutely. Like I've watched it, I don't know how many times.
You can find my writing at 512pixels.net, and I'm on Twitter and Twitch as ISMH. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Squarespace, Smile, and Mac Weldon. And until next week, gentlemen, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.